Hey, welcome back. You liked my Dune reaction, or the trailer at least, and that's cool. Well, this time I'm going to go back in time and react to the Batman trailer. But no, not just to the trailer, but to your overall reactions to the trailer, because I'm going to tell you why that trailer worked. So it all comes down to storytelling. I am a storyteller. If you dig through my old YouTube stuff, you'll see a mix of animation and my podcast and some audio stories and some other stuff. I love storytelling, and storytelling works on some really basic principles. Like, let's go back to grade school English. Let's go back to the storytelling arc. Okay, you've got exposition and rising action and climax and denouement, or the resolution, okay? And you've got this arc. It's like an exponential arc, and it mirrors a very simple human process. And I'm sorry, this is an all ages video, but at the same time, what's that process mirroring? Oh, that's nice. What? That's right, kids. Really good storytelling, whether it's long form or short form, is mirroring the human sexual response. This is why a story works. You can't have a story that just stays like this. Stuff happens, stuff happens, stuff happens. You can't have a story that goes like this, wow, because then it's done too fast and your partner's complaining. Or you can't have a story that goes like this because it gets more boring and that's lame. You'll get dumped for sure. And even just a straight thing. A lot of people, when I've taught storytelling classes, they're like, oh, it's like an arc, and it's an arc like this. Well, it's not an arc. It's just a straight line. So action, tension, action, tension, action, tension, action, tension. Well, great. You've got a Michael Bay film, but like nothing matters. Okay? So you've got exposition, which is establishing those journalistic questions of the who, what, why, when, where, and how. You know, where is it set and who's involved? And you're setting up the parts and pieces, the chess pieces of what the conflict is. And that's the core of a story. Your protagonist, your good guy or whatever, like your lead, and the antagonist, the force that is going against what the protagonist wants. Okay, so there's your conflict. You've got your classic conflicts, you know, man versus man, man versus nature, man versus society, man versus the supernatural, what have you. Man versus the dude next door with his hammer on his boat that started at 6 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, so, and you've got your conflict, and then the conflict reaches a height, reaches maximum tension, and then the conflict pays off. It's resolved. We have a winner, or we have a dramatic change, we have a loss, we have a realization, and then you process that new information in the resolution, or again with the French word, the denouement. All right? So a lot of people think that trailers are just like promotional tools for movies. Oh, take a look. Here's a cool scene. Here's a quote from a review article. Chicago Tribune says this is amazing. Sell your mother and go see it. No. You've got multi-billion-dollar entertainment conglomerates realizing, understanding the science of what keeps people glued to trailers, what makes them emotionally respond to it, because stories are about these like little engines of emotional engagement and response. And that's how they build these things. They build these things as like a micro story, a mini story reflecting the story overall, or a completely different story they want to tell, which is why sometimes the trailers are deceptive or give away too much of the film. They want to have this complete mini story that people go, wow, I relate to it. I'm touched by it. I'm moved by it. And I want to see more of that. I want to feel more of that. And that, my friends, is why Matt Reeves' The Batman trailer works so well. You cannot tell me that a film that cost $150 million plus didn't think, didn't plan, didn't have a strategy to release this first trailer in a way that would present the project and the film as a, oh my gosh, I want to have more of that. I want to feel that. It tells an actual story. And the reason I knew it was successful, and I said this back in my Dune reaction last week, hammer. I said this in the Dune reaction, that I was blown away when I took my first deep dive into reaction videos and I saw everyone reacting to the trailer. Everyone was leaning in, they were silent, their eyebrows were going up at the key moments that were meant to happen, they were responding to things. And then of course, like the big vengeance moment made people go, oh, and then all the other payoffs that happened too afterwards. People were responding in the same way at the same key moments, and afterwards were just like a hand to the head going, this is, oh, wow, I gotta watch that 100 more times, like so many of us did, hence all the reactions, hence the billion+ views of the trailer. So now I'm gonna watch the trailer live and quickly, for you, just for fun, break down the story of the trailer and why it works, why it's structured the way that it is. So let's see if I can make this work. I'm recording on my phone, and I'm going to watch the trailer, and then I'll insert the thing here, and then we'll do all that stuff. So let's be natural, let's be real, let's go. Now, as I said, I've seen this already. I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to try to recreate that, but let's break this down. Okay, here we go. All right, so you've got the logo, and it's established in red, so we've got a sense of, is this mature? This feels a little bit dread. You got the sound of the duct tape. Location, nice office or room with a very weird man. Duct tape, bad. Okay, so you've got your antagonist, no more dead body. This is a mystery. There are detectives and police looking somber. This is a detective story. The gloves, pulling up evidence. Commissioner Gordon, a detective of sorts, looking around the scene, reminiscent of detective films like Seven. Now, what's this? A strange unknown factor in the environment. But here's your rich man's environment, the newspaper, important people, and then a childlike card being presented to who is this strange figure? If you've never heard of Batman before, here is a strange being dressed up. Formal, but then mystery.
You're becoming quite a celebrity.
Heading into an inner sanctum. And then another somber moment with threat level rising. This is the rising action, the rising of tension and pressure and conflict. Oh, another character, again, against the law, a thief. Another character, again. These are all potential antagonists, all of the forces against our protagonist, against the Batman. Rising tension, rising action, the fight with Catwoman, the explosion of Batman, and then we're lifting up. Oh, that feels so good. Oh, what is this? What's happening here? Oh. This is why everyone screamed here, the release. But this is not the full conflict resolved yet. That's not the full the climax happening yet. This is the last rise, the last thrust, if you will. Sorry, but there it is. The music mirroring perfectly the narrative arc of this trailer, and now we have the resolution. The denouement. You're a part of this too.
How am I part of this?
How am I part of this? You will see. It's not Batman. It's Batman with his mask off. This is a story about Bruce Wayne. That's the point of this. This is a story about this young, disturbed man, Bruce Wayne. Okay, at first we see him in the costume, and it's jarring, but we've established that in that exposition, we're in a rich man's room, we're in a city, there are important people, politicians, what have you, and someone is killing them. At least one, but there are going to be more, obviously. That's teased pretty strongly. And then we have the investigation of Bruce as Batman. But first, just as Bruce, we see Batman, yes, but then the next shot is, of course, him with the eye makeup, still stained by his mission, hiding in a dark place, watching, is it a mayor, or is it the police commissioner, or someone in a formal societal kind of gathering. And then he goes back to his inner sanctum in the Batcave, and he's taking off his mask, and it's like, you've been getting popular or what have you. We get to see him doing more investigation, but we get to see more criminals. We get to see Catwoman. We get to see what we find out later to be the Penguin. We get to see the funeral scene. We get to see the big explosion where I think the Bat is going towards that dude with the bomb strapped to him, and he's blown away in fire. And then we see the goons. We see the face-painted goons, whether they're a skull gang, whether it's a nod to the Joker, that doesn't matter. But the action has been rising and rising and rising. The conflict has been getting more and more tense and more intense. And then there's a release, the start of the release, those first strokes towards finish, that moment where you reach a point of no return. If we want to mirror the human sexual response here, and we do, it's like, oh gosh, he starts to release and establishes that he's violent and intense and unstoppable, and he imposes fear, and he makes the statement, I'm vengeance, and then boom, his machine, the Batmobile, his potent power ignites and crashes through a wall, and then we see Batman rising up that staircase, the police are shooting at him, he is going to be a different cat altogether, and then the car is chasing the Penguin, and Colin Farrell's character says the key word before we reach the true climax of the trailer, this guy's crazy. This guy's crazy. That is the climax statement of the trailer before we get the cut to the title card and the huge swell of music. It started off somber and soft, Nirvana's Something in the Way. And then it turned into this big orchestral and synthwave sort of thing, so Michael Giacchino really knew what he was doing. Big, powerful swell of a moment to stress that last line. Not I'm vengeance, that's his Batman persona. But what the Penguin says, this guy's crazy. And this all ties back in to what Matt Reeves was saying during DC Fandom about how this is an exploration of Bruce Wayne and his family, and how a huge influence on the story was the graphic novel Batman Ego. This is going to be a battle for Bruce's soul. And for me, the most telling part of the story, why this trailer, and I hope that this film, the story itself and the real struggle is not man versus Riddler, man versus Joker gang, man versus the political system. This is man versus himself. Because we see Bruce back in the cave in front of his computers with mask off, but the mark of the bat, obviously the makeup, the symbol of him, it sinking into his shadow self, listening to the Riddler's words. You're a part of this too. How am I a part of this? You'll see. And that's the resolution, the denouement from the climax of you're crazy. Well, what do you mean? Oh, I'm going to show you the roots of your crazy. You're all going to learn the story by the time this is done. And this is why everyone reacted the way that they did. We all followed that arc. Do a reverse here with the camera. We all followed that arc of who, what, when, where, how. We're in a city, and there's a serial killer, and the cops are befuddled, and it's dark, and it's grimy, and it's very much like Fincher's Seven, and then a political guy has been killed, and then this weirdo steps in, this force steps in, but really he's just a man, and he wants to be powerful, and he wants to investigate, but he has all these foes against him. He has, a mix of, he has the police against him, in that scene in the jail cell. He has, it seems like the political system against him. He has this strange fucking antagonist, the Riddler, against him. He has Catwoman against him. He has Mobster Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot against him. All these forces against him. The fire blowing him up, hurting him. All of the forces in this world are conspiring against him. But then he shows that the force that drives him, that keeps him going, and this is right before the climax, this is the pre-climax, is him against that gang of thugs and making his show of what he is, and the spirit that drives him is vengeance. And that triggers the start of this climactic sequence of the storytelling release, which is, how crazy is this guy that he can beat the fuck out of someone and smash his face again a couple of times on the ground and be like, I'm vengeance. And then he has this insanely souped up car that's smashing through walls and chasing people. He's on a back grappling hook and going up as the police are shooting at him. He takes a shot in the chest. The Penguin's like, this guy's crazy. And then he rises up in that final shot against the gang. I'm a supernatural force. This guy's crazy. And then boom, he's vulnerable and quiet and alone, and he's listening to the Riddler's words, and he's going to learn something about his history, about what makes him him. And it's a quest that we're all on to discover who we are as human beings. It's just, this is an archetypal one. And it's interesting because you've got, for me, this guy's crazy, which is very much, if you want to go Freudian, the superhero id, and then I'm vengeance, and that's the superhero super ego. Right? It's like he wants to manifest this persona to contain all of this rage and all of this sadness. and that rage and sadness comes out when he smashes the gangster's face, and when he's busting through walls, and when he's running from the cops, and when he's dealing with his internal torture. And I think this is why the big clue of this being parallel to or drawing from Batman Ego. That's what Matt Reeves spoke about. So yeah, there is the story. I'll lay in some visuals, hopefully, and make it more interesting, but there's the story of the Batman trailer, why it works for us. If you enjoy this, I can do this for more trailers or short form entertainment, or even long form if you want to. But it's a fun distraction for me. So I hope you dig it. Let me know what you think, and like, subscribe, all that bullshit. Okay? More soon. Bye.